Society is collapsing and no one cares.
Well, if you're looking for a job, you may be excited to know that there are a large number of open positions posted across the U.S.
That's right. At this moment, there are about 10.8 million job openings for those of you looking to get a job. Now, that high number is a favorite economic figure of the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell repeatedly cites this as a reason to keep hiking interest rates. But there is new information that shows not all of those job openings really exist.
Society is collapsing and no one cares. You know, guys, right now they're posting fake job listings all over the place. Up to half of all job listings may actually be fake right now. And a lot of this is being done to troll Gen Z, but it's also hurting the entire economy as a whole. Watch into this video to really understand the implications of this situation and how it's going to affect people in society going forward, because it's a very serious issue. Now let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
All right, CBS News Money Watch Associate Managing Editor Irina Ivanova is here with us in Studio 57. She has been reporting out this interesting phenomenon of ghost jobs. How new is the problem of fake job listings?
So this is something that's been building for a while, but it's really been turbocharged by the pandemic and the rise of remote work. As we know, it's become much cheaper and much easier to list a job. Back when the government started tracking it, you had to go down to your local newspaper, maybe make a classified ad. There was a lot of hassle. And now, as we know, there's so many job listing sites. They're cheap, they're free. And lots of companies are covering their bases. And then I've spoken with an economist who says that remote work actually made this problem so much more, because companies are suddenly realizing they have a whole country of potential job candidates and they want their job posted everywhere. So they'll list a job in New York, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, in Dallas. You think there's 5 job openings, but it's really just the one.
See, that's interesting, because in many ways what your article gets to is the politics of companies listing certain jobs, right? So we ask ourselves, why would a company post a job that doesn't really exist? You found there are a number of reasons.
There are so many, and sometimes it is this sort of inadvertent duplication, or somebody called it the intensity of recruiting. Sometimes it's a little more deliberate. There was a survey from Clarify Capital late last year that asked hiring managers why they had job openings, open for 30, 60, 90 days. And some of them said reasons like, well, we're always interested in maybe meeting people. And some of them said, I think about a third of them said it's to placate overworked employees who are asking for more hires.
Wow.
And then when you're talking about a large company, there can often be this sort of communication breakdown. For instance, they may have listed a bunch of jobs and then plans changed, the budgets got cut, and then that doesn't actually trickle down to the person in charge of the job opening. So that listing just stays up and doesn't get filled.
So this is actually interesting. What they're doing is they'll have overworked employees. They'll tell the overworked employees that they've posted tons of job listings, but they never plan on filling these jobs. And they're doing this just to keep the morale high, to keep the employees working, believing that help is on the way, when the reality is help is not on the way. It's an evil world that we live in. And then on top of it, you have the Gen Zers who are out there applying for these jobs, when 4 out of every 10 employers, this goes back a couple to 2022, admitted that they don't hire Gen Zers, period. It's a really, really evil thing that's happening. And it's just, as more people become aware of what's happening here, it's only going to result in fewer people actually applying for these jobs and coming to the conclusion that it's not worth it. This is only going to push Gen Z even further to dropping out of the job market even faster, and a lot of millennials and Gen Xers becoming more and more skeptical of the job market and being much more cautious. For example, they may put out resumes, but they're going to be like, okay, well, how much is this job going to pay? Like, people are going to start to pull back. There's going to be a lot of pushback right now. Right, especially with the way that people are being paid, or rather underpaid. Companies are keeping all of the profit for themselves. There's going to be a lot of blowback for what's happening. Trust me on that. When I look at Gen Z, though, it's hard for me, because it's like, on one hand, you want to have empathy, but on the other hand, Gen Z is just is a group of individuals that are just, they're not very nice people. They're not very nice people, and it's like their behavior is atrocious, absolutely atrocious. While there are some who are like, well, it's not that we don't want to work. Let's be realistic. Most Gen Zers don't actually want to work. They just want to chill, smoke weed, get drunk, you know, play video games, play with themselves, fart, sleep, and then do it all again the next day. This is how these people operate. All right, they're not like previous generations. The boomers are such a bad bunch of apples. They basically sold us out while we were still in diapers, being Gen Xers and older millennials, and now, they don't want to move on to the next stage, which is going off to hell. They're holding on for dear life and making the world a worse place. They want to drag us to hell with them. They want to drag us to hell with them, and Gen Z, they're already there. It's from hell that they came, and it's to the hell that they shall return. Don't ever forget when I tell you guys a story sometimes where I said that Gen Z doesn't believe in God, and a Gen Zer made sure to reach out to me and let me know that, oh, it's not that we don't believe that he exists, it's just that we don't care. Keyword care. These people are demons, they are demons. A bunch of bad little muffins, bad little muffins. It's an unfortunate reality that we live in, but it's something that we have to look at. And right now, society is going straight down to hell. And you have a lot of guys, 30 million men have dropped out of the economy and said, you know what, it's just not worth it for us to work, for us to participate in this endless game, in this endless cycle of crappery. So they're staying home, they're playing video games, living off dividends, or or day trading or remote work, or just working just enough to survive and thrive and no more. And that's a pattern that we've witnessed happening for a long time, and it's a pattern that's going to continue happening around us. It's a mad world. Everything that's happening right now is just going to create more demoralization and drive more people out of the economy, and it's only going to further push us towards a new depression. We're already in an extreme recession, but we're going to be in a terrible depression because these things come in cycles. And of course, women are going to be hit the hardest because the average man can live happily in a shoebox at the side of the road. The average woman cannot. Men are built for suffering. We are built to not only suffer, but we are built to rise above the suffering and thrive despite the suffering, in the face of suffering. Women, on the other hand, are not like that. Women cannot suffer. Well, I've often said, like, for example, you'll see like homeless men, and a lot of homeless men, their clothes may not be new, but they're not dirty. Versus a lot of homeless women, when they end up homeless, like, you can see the suffering on them, the destitution, the hardship, and they don't know how to handle it. You take a bunch of women and you bunch them together, and you have a bunch of helpless women. You take a bunch of men and you group them together, you have a rebellion. That's the difference between men and women. Men are natural fighters. And the reason why we're natural fighters is because we have to fight to survive. Every single day we go into the world and we have to do war. We have to do battle, in this world. And then we come home, and if we are, it's better to be by yourself than in a home where you have someone who's always bringing you stress, and a woman is supposed to bring a man peace, but in modern day society, a lot of men, they go out, they fight in the world, and only to come home and then fight at home. And no one wants to put up with that, which is one of the reasons why so many guys are going MGTOW or MWA, walking away and finding their best alternatives, or just, like I said, going MGTOW, men walking away, and instead choosing to opt out of dating relationships and instead focus on the things that make them happy. It's only going to continue going in this direction because no one wants to be taken advantage of. No one wants to be someone else's slave. No one wants to live that life. It's a hard reality to accept, but it's a reality many of us are beginning to wake up to, that society absolutely hates us as men. And as men, we just have to walk away from it. Walk away, run away, whatever you've got to do. You look at some things that are happening around the world. They're making it more difficult to stay in Thailand, but it's interesting, not in Thailand, in the Philippines, but in Thailand, for example, they're making it easier. Countries even like Japan are starting to roll out like different policies and special visas to incentivize foreigners to come to their country and work in their country remotely. And it's very interesting because, as one door closes, another door opens. So this is really, we're entering into the age of the digital nomad, where basically, you work from anywhere in the world and you go where you go where you're appreciated, you go where you're celebrated, you go where you can live and actually be happier. For example, life is about the pursuit of happiness, but we've been conditioned to believe that life is about careers and working until we get old so that we can retire for a couple of years and then go chill, which is not going to happen for any of us. And also the very notion of retirement is kind of overstated. Realistically, we're not, you're not supposed to really retire. You're supposed to move to your next stage of life. And, the boomers didn't know how to live, so they're not going to know how to pass away, which is the reason why they're clinging to power and clinging to life, because, they live such bad lives that, their passing is not going to be entirely spectacular. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race, and click the link in the description to get your free copy. Also, subscribe to the Angry Guy Clips channel, where we post shorter videos and video responses, and also the Angry Guy live channel, where we live stream. Both channels are linked in the description. And finally, guys, protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Click the link in the description to get started and support the channel. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? Society is collapsing and no one cares. Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. And cheers.